about the person who has been called as the father of modern management science. And his contribution in the modern management thinking is seminal, it's fundamental, it is as like roots through which all of the flower of the management science and the plant of the management science has actually been developed. And the person name is Peter F. Drucker. So I had always thought, since I am associated with the MBA program for the last 7 years as an MBA program manager, that our students should know about it. It's not just about subjects like strategic management, strategic HRM, or strategic finance, or electives. It's more about to know in what field, in what profession do we exist, where we are. We need to understand the context of that. So that's a very, I would say, humble step. It's a very small step in this direction. And I'm really thankful in this regard to many people. First, I would like to thank my own faculty members over here. To begin to Mr. Farhan Sayyed, who has been teaching strategic management over here. And he appreciated the idea. He said, why not? My students would definitely would like to attend this. And I also want to thank Miss Madiha. She's teaching strategic HRM. I personally came to your classes as well, and to tell you about these ideas. And Miss Shafaq, she's also over here. So, so the point is that it's our collective effort. At SZABIST, we want to know about this person and how we could further learn about his, I would say, contributions and development. There are many people, those who are going to talk about it. Apart from our faculty members, I am really, really thankful to Ms. Nayara over here. She is basically the main coordinator for organizing this event, and I would tell about her in detail. But I would say that without her support and help, this would have not been possible. And my old friend, I mean, old not in a sense of the age, please don't take it, means we have a long association, Mr. Farid Zafar, 25 years of association, personal and professional association. He is with us. I'm just going to introduce them in a while. Since this is a Peter F. Drucker day, I do not want it to be a very formal. That's why I'm open to all these kind of this. We have to create that spirit. So over here, this whole event is not about us. Let me tell you very honestly. It's all about my students. It's all about our MBA students. It's all about the students of MBA day and the MBA evening program. And behind all of this arrangement, I have not forgotten one of my friend, but some people's name, they do not require to be told. But let me just talk about Mr. Jamil Ahmed as well, who is who is behind all this arrangement of this. So to begin with, I would say that this is an event all about our student. In this regard, I have requested one of our faculty members, Ms. Madiha, that if any students or Ms. Shafaq as well, that if they are interested to talk about Peter F. Drucker, it's about you. I'd shared 3 articles as well. I hope you must have gone through those 3 articles as well about Peter F. Drucker. Some of you at least must have gone through. So I would like to invite, first of all, Mr. Sarang of our MBA program to come and speak about Peter F. Drucker. Mr. Sarang.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Uh, it is very hard to, sum up the introduction of the Peter Drucker in a very short span of time, but I have tried my best to, deliver the whatever I can get in a very short span of time. Can everyone listen to me? Is that fine? Okay, thank you. Performing responsible management is the alternate to every tyranny, and it's our only protection against it. This is the line which inspired me the most. It is filled with truth, philosophy, vision, and lesson for everyone. My name is Sarangali, and I'm doing MBA in the evening over here at SZABIST. Peter F. Drucker widely considered to be the foremost pioneer of the management theory. He was a writer, teacher, and consultant specializing in strategy and the policy for the business and social sector organizations. Drucker career as a writer, consultant, and mentor expanded over the 75 years. While talking about his some contributions, his groundbreaking work turned the modern management science theory into the serious discipline. He influenced almost every facet of its application, including privatization, empowerment, decentralization, and the main thing, understanding through the knowledge worker theory. Throughout his long career, he has had interest in journalism, art appreciation, reading, drawing inspiration from the works of the Jane Austen, and of course, management, teaching, and consultancy. With 39 books published into the span of the 75 years and translated more than 30 languages worldwide, it's a glorious landmark achieved by this management genius. Dr. Drucker received his doctoral degree in international and the public law at the University of the Frankfurt in 1931. He worked as journalist in Germany and moved to the England due to the rise of the Adolf Hitler. He worked in England until 1937, and then he moved to the United States. He started working as advisor to the British banks, as the advisor to the British newsletters in the United States, and he got the immigration over there. Later, from his early beginnings as a financial reporter at the Frankfurt, Germany, to his pioneering study of the General Motors and the book that changed his life, The Concept of the Corporation, is the huge book. Is filled with so many great ideas which changed the modern scenario of the business administration that was written by the Peter F. Drucker. After that, Dr. Drucker initiated the MBA program for the professionals MBA program for the professionals who were working over there in the industries, factories, companies. He actually initiated that program and introduced to the world that those people who are working over there, they still need the education. So this was one of the greatest initiative by the Peter F. Drucker. We can also think of the Peter F. Drucker as a time traveler. Now, this is a very great point. We can also think of the Peter Drucker as a time traveler, not only because he had an encyclopedic knowledge of the historical facts, but because he had placed contemporary events into the history context and it inferred the future developments. Once he was asked, Drucker, that he considered himself more of a historical writer or the management thinker. Without any hesitation, he said that I'm a historical writer because he used to think the things from the history. From the history, he used to build the ideas which will develop the future. Dr. Peter F. Drucker was awarded with many honors. Presidential Medal of the Freedom by the US President George W. Bush in 2002, the Austrian Cross of Honor for the Science and Art First Class by the Austria, the Grand Gold Decoration for the service to the Republic of Austria in 1991, Grand Silver Medal for the service to the Republic of the Austria in 1974. In 1954, his book, The Practice of the Management, was voted the third most influential book by the management of the Academy. In sum up, mention the name of the Peter Drucker in a business forest, and the giants will rise up. Listening to the name of the Peter F. Drucker, that is enough for in any industry to raise them from their seats. Dr. Peter F. Drucker crossed many boundaries as a writer, teacher, management consultant, and business visionary. He has been called the inventor of the modern management science for good reason. He believed in business. He believed in business as human driven enterprise that could be profitable and responsible for everyone. Thank you.
All right, Sarang, thank you very much. It was very well made write up speech. You have covered his achievements. Though I mean, in such a short time period, completely, it's difficult to cover his achievement, but at least he has given you a brief in terms of his education and his career and work experience. Now, I have taken this liberty that I would like to share certain points on the path of self-development, which has been prescribed by Peter F. Drucker. Because that mainly in this whole session, I want to communicate this message through other speakers as well, that path to self development, it starts with oneself. No one else can force you, no one else can, I would say, work for you. It's going to be your own self development. So a brief presentation I would like to give over here with respect to that, what are the fundamental principles which have been given by Peter F. Drucker for self development. And I hope that each student is going to be inspired by this notion that the path of self development never continues, it never lasts. So, now, before I start, let me very clearly tell you that I have taken the points from a book written by one of his Peter F. Drucker's disciple. His name was William A. Cohen. And this is this book is available as a soft copy with me. Anybody who is interested, I can share that copy. But I have taken the points from the last chapter, and that last chapter is entitled Drucker's Principles of Self-Development. Now, he has actually, Drucker himself has not given you a path line. Okay, these are the principles, these are the steps you have to follow. But as a disciple of Peter F. Drucker, Dr. Cohen has himself developed these lines, and I have gone through this chapter and thought that how to present it to my student. The first thing is, now this is a quotation given by Drucker, that development is dependent on how much you get out of the one resource that is truly under your command and control, that is yourself. So whenever we talk about development, it's not about the physical resources, it's not about the human resources or the people to whom you are actually supervising and managing. The development starts with yourself, and the source and the resource which you 100% or totally control is yourself. So it should be starting from this awareness. So self development is necessary for everyone, and it is up to every individual to develop his abilities in order to achieve his goals, but more importantly to make a contribution. Now if we look at this statement, I mean, it's not about your achieving your personal goals. It's not like, okay, I have reached the position of the CEO, I have reached the position of topmost organization, or I have established my own business. It's mainly about the contribution. So right from here, you may see the philosophy of the Peter F. Drucker, because the satisfaction which you are going to get ultimately in your life, in your career, is that when your goals are aligned with the contribution to the society, when your goals are aligned with the contribution to the mankind. So it's not about your personal goals, it's about your contribution to the society as well. So whenever you are on the path of the self development, you have to have a bigger vision, so that you can see how you are connecting your efforts with a greater vision. It's not working. Next is not working. All right. Now, with a conversation which Dr. Cohen was having with Peter F. Drucker, so I mean, it took place in a hotel, in a restaurant, and both were sitting and having a breakfast or a meal. And Dr. Drucker asked him that, "Do you have many projects?" Yeah, I have many projects, and I keep thinking about adding many other projects. It could be about starting a new business. It could be about writing a book. It could be about teaching a class. So many other projects. So how do you manage that? He asked. Sometimes I'm unable to even manage these projects. So the question is that you need to draw a kind of a list, that what are those projects in which you are interested in. And it is not just about what we may call it the natural abilities, that you have lots of abilities and hence you will be able to do. No. The two important points which Peter F. Drucker has suggested is that energy and discipline means you have natural talent, you have energy to achieve that, but if it is not disciplined, this whole energy is going to be dissipated. It's all going to be wasted. So, despite having natural talent, you must have seen many of your friends, or you sometimes think, oh, I have a lot of talent, but I'm not able to actually achieve what I intended to achieve. So, where the problem lies? It lies with discipline. And at an early stage, if you are going to develop that discipline, then yes, you are going to have greater benefits. Now, other points, the key point, in order to begin with, it was with the self awareness. Whenever we talk about self development, it should start with self awareness. And when we say self awareness, it simply means that we should know about strengths and weaknesses. Because the premise for personal development given by the Peter F. Drucker was that capitalize upon your strengths. Means that, for example, I mean, his whole life is an example that he had done his doctorate in law, and he was even given during his lifetime, he was given a position of a dean. But he discontinued with that because he thought that my greatest contribution to the society would be in the area of teaching, in the area of research, in the area of executive education. So he dedicated his time where he could utilize his talents in the I mean in the best way. So same goes with us, that all of you may be a marketer, you may be doing something else, so you have to see that what are your strengths. Is it in analytics, it is in creativity, what are your strengths, and focus on your strengths so that you are able to make your weaknesses irrelevant. That's the most important point over here. And how would you know what are your strengths? Until you try, you won't be able to know. It's not something that it has come in your dream, that this is my passion. What is required? That at early stage, you keep trying multiple projects, you keep trying different areas, test yourself. You never know where your own call for life would come. It may be in a profession which you have never thought about it. It may be in engineering, it may be in management consultancy, it may be in teaching, it may be in marketing, it may be in product design, it may be in writing, it could be anything, but you have to explore yourself. Your talents are latent. You need to dig them out and see where they are actually. And that is only possible when you are going to try. Then we are going to see, all right. Now, one more thing that Peter F. Drucker said that you cannot, I mean, a success would not come in your way until you plan. And one of the key things which he have told is that we have to develop our knowledge in a broader area. We must not confine ourselves to a limited, narrow area. For example, if you are in finance or in accounting, you are an expert in finance and accounting, but you do not know any other thing. You do not know anything about politics. You do not know anything about anthropology. You do not know anything about economics. You are not aware about astronomy. You are not aware about botany. I mean, the world is open. You need to be curious. Until or unless you develop a broad base for your knowledge, you would not be able to know that most of the solution of the problems lie in interdisciplinary areas. And your creativity would only work if there is going to be a kind of a connection between two diverse fields. So what he used to do, he used to have a plan, and he used to read a lot of books from diverse area. I mean, people may be surprised, sir, why are you reading this? Why are you not reading the other book? Why you have interest in novels? Why you have interest in some other areas? No, we have to diversify. We should not confine ourselves. That was his major theme. And there are serious consequences, as I told you, that great innovation would come only if you have a broad knowledge. So do not shy away from reading some things, some subject which is not directly related with you. You have to keep broadening your knowledge. Only then there is going to be a path of self-development. Now, I don't want to take much of your time. I will just give you finally 4 points. This is the 4 vehicles of development by Peter F. Drucker. Number 1 is reading. So develop a list of the books which you are going to read in a year. If it's not possible, at least I would suggest you 2 books in a month. You must read it. Diversified subject, it could be anything. Develop this list. Number two, writing. Now, writing was fundamental to the development of Peter F. Drucker. For example, today we are having this lecture. Go, write about it, think about it, reflect on that. In the organization which you are working, there's an incident which has given you a shock, maybe something you had not expected. Why it has happened? Think about it, reflect, write about it. Write about your opinions. Now in social media you can continue to write. So writing is fundamental, because until or unless we write, we do not know whether we have understood something or not. What happens? Things keeps going away from us. Third point is listening. Listening means that he used to consider conversation with others as one of the important way of self development. For example, um, you may meet intellectuals. We have so many PhD doctors over here. Hmm? Dr. Shaila, thank you for coming over here. She is sitting over there. So you may and ask, Dr. Shaila, you have done your PhD in the area of conflict management. Let us tell us what inspired you. Spend time with the intellectuals. Spend time with your colleagues, those who are in a different field. Listen to them. Learn the ideas from them, because that is also increasing that repository, which is going to help you in creativity, which is also help you broaden your horizon. And finally, it is teaching. We are all, most of us over here in the profession of the teaching. So, just sorry. So all of us are who are here in the profession of teaching. So Peter F. Drucker used to say, the best way to learn something is to teach. So I personally, since I was inspired by Peter F. Drucker, I read about it today, I have got a chance to talk about him. And I have also learned many things in this. So here I'm going to say thank you very much. I do not want to prolong, but thanks for this patient listening. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, now we are going to further proceed. The next speaker for today's um, seminar is Mr. Ashutosh Dixit. Hmm? Ashutosh Dixit has actually shared his message with us. He sent this message especially for this occasion. And he's a professional with over 13 years of experience in the areas of innovation, pre-sales project management, marketing business development. He is presently the head of service innovation at the University College London, focusing on bi-modal innovation opportunities across business processes and technology. He has previously worked for IBM, Deloitte, and Wipro Technologies. Ashutosh holds an MBA from the coveted Indian Institute of Management. He is the recipient of the Director's Gold Medal for the Best All-Rounder in the MBA class, awarded by the former President of India. He is also the winner of India's Best Young Leader Award. He is one of the youngest members on the board of governors at the Indian Institute of Management. Um, he made it to the winners list of the Global Peter Drucker Challenge in 2015 with his essay Navigating the Digital Waves, The Quest for Identity. His passions include stand-up comedy. He has impression of over 400 people to his credit, writing poetry, acting, traveling, languages. He's conversant in 6 languages. So over the summer of 2019, you must have, or you may have seen him during the ICC World Cup. He was an official flag bearer for 5 countries at the ICC Cricket World Cup in England and Wales. So I would now request that we listen to his message for this special occasion. So a
Hi, a
message
very good
from Mr.
evening. My
Ashutosh
name is
Dixit.
Ashutosh Dixit, and I'm the head of service innovation at University College London, here in London, in the United Kingdom. Prior to UCL, I have been working with organizations such as IBM, as well as Deloitte Consulting, both in India and in the UK. I've had this opportunity today to speak to you about the Global Peter Drucker Challenge and how it has helped shape my personality and also helped me in both my professional as well as personal lives. I attended the Global Peter Drucker Conference in Vienna in 2015 as part of being on the winners list in that year as part of the essay challenge that is organized. The theme for that year was managing the self in the digital age. Now, what's beautiful about the Global Peter Drucker Challenge is that it keeps reinventing itself each year. So, obviously, while the themes are related, it's about management philosophy and how it impacts the different aspects of both human as well as uh, as well as other aspects of the ecosystem. In essence, it helps you think, which I think was the fundamental of all of Peter Drucker's philosophies. Also, I think you as an individual have the opportunity to explore the different facets of management philosophy and also try and relate that in terms of application as well. So while other competitions help you kind of just write about it, I think the Global Peter Drucker Forum and the challenge associated with it takes you a step ahead in terms of the implementation aspects as well. And also, the beauty about this particular challenge is that there is no set barometer or set template which identifies what a winning essay is going to be. Um, Diversity is the key theme. You would see more than 50 nationalities participating in the contest each year. And the winning list, if you read the essays, they're all on the Peter Drucker Global Peter Drucker Challenge website. All the essays have their own unique style, their own flavor, their own content. And that's what differentiates each of these essays. And that's what makes this whole competition so very unique. So, no matter whether you're an undergraduate student or a postgraduate student, whether you're a professional just starting out in your career or have significant experience, I think if you were to truly look at an opportunity that would help you both introspect from your own perspective as part of your skills development, and also about where the industry, whichever industry you're working in, is headed, both from a national perspective as well as from a global perspective, I think this challenge gives you the opportunity to do so. So I would strongly urge you to grab it with both hands. And obviously, the 11th Global Peter Drucker Forum is happening in Vienna this year in November. And I would urge you, if not already, to follow the events. And some of the events are available on live stream as well, to for you to get a glimpse of what it is like to be there. And I look forward to seeing many of you participate and make it to the winners list next year, where you can, of course, be there in person in Vienna. That's the size of surprise. So all the very best. And any questions that you may have, the Global Peter Drucker Forum alumni are always there to answer those, both from your national representatives as well as from an international alumni perspective. We're always there to support you in your endeavors to be part of this competition and eventually on the other side as part of the alumni as well. So best wishes and good luck. See you soon. Thank you.
So it was very touching from Ashutosh to send his message at a very short notice. And what he has just mentioned in this is the main idea is to think. I mean, how much do we think? That is the message which is at the center of the philosophy of Peter F. Drucker. And many details we can share with you with respect to the next year Peter F. Drucker competition, which would be held, which regularly is held in Vienna. But we now move to our second speaker from abroad. And she has also sent us a message, a recorded message. And I would just briefly introduce her to you. Um, uh, our second speaker is the Max Sayers, is the founder and managing creative partner of her own entrepreneurial business, Tot Shop. She is going to tell why it is called Tot Shop in a while. She holds a bachelor's of arts in English from Kenyon. It's not Kenyon, it's Kenyon College, and an MBA from Wake Forest University School of Business, as well as variety of certificates ranging from design thinking to crisis communication from institutions including Yale University, Wake Forest University, the Department of Homeland Security, and IDEO. In November 2018, her perspective and research on artificial intelligence placed third in the world for managers, entrepreneurs in the Peter Drucker Challenge sponsored by Global Peter Drucker Forum. She traveled to Vienna, Austria in November to accept the award and contribute to a panel moderated by Andrew Hill, management editor with the Financial Times. From 2018 to 2019, she was one of the 22 Charlotte leaders, Charlotte, a city in USA. She is going to tell about that as well, to be selected to participate in Novant Health Drive Experience for High Potential Leaders, invested and engaged in bringing the leadership of Mr. Martin Luther King Jr. to the community of Charlotte. She and Jamie Brown are co-founders of B is for Business, the educational platform designed to teach children about entrepreneurship and business education. And there are 5 books in the series. So without further ado, I would request that we have the message from Ms. Mac Sears. Thank you.
Guys, good evening. Hope you are doing well. Happy Drucker Day. This is so exciting, and I am thrilled to be a part of this day with you. It's so special. Peter Drucker has been a huge inspiration for me in the work that I do, and I am happy to be able to bring a little bit of insight that I have about him from my life into yours. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Meg Seitz. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the largest metropolitan market between Washington, D.C. and Atlanta. So I am on the East Coast of the U.S. Some fun facts, 2 fun facts about Charlotte. Charlotte is the second largest banking city in the U.S., second to, bet you can guess it, it's New York. So it goes New York, Charlotte, San Francisco when it comes to banking. And then another fun fact is that Charlotte is home to stock car racing. So if you've ever heard of NASCAR, NASCAR, NASCAR is the Association of Stock Car Racing, and it started in Charlotte. So everyone here drives very quickly, if you can imagine that. But I live here in Charlotte. I own and operate my own business. It is called Toth Shop, T-O-T-H Shop. Toth is actually my middle name. It's Hungarian. I love my name. I knew I wanted to name my business after that. And so I am excited to say that this February, Toth Shop celebrates 5 years, which is a huge milestone for any small business, but especially a female-owned business. So I'm happy to say that we hit 5 years in February. What I do is storytelling and strategy. So the way I tell it to a lot of people is I am an English major. I have an English degree as my Bachelor of Arts from a school in Ohio called Kenyon College. And then I also have my MBA, my Master's of Business Administration from Wake Forest University. So in theory, I am an English major who went to business school. And so because of that, I am always pretty obsessed with finding the line between creativity and business, which is why Peter Drucker was like a light bulb to go off when I found out about him, because short story, Wake Forest is where I went to business school, and Wake Forest is a really strong accounting and finance program. And as you can imagine, as somebody who loves literature and creative writing, I was a little bit of a fish out of water in a MBA program that was all about math and accounting. And so I was always really craving thought leadership and business experts and thinkers who were able to see that business was not all numbers, but business was actually a way of being, and business had the potential to be a culture and a culture shifter, which is why it was actually my second year of business school that I found out about Peter Drucker and the Peter Drucker Challenge, which the first year I submitted an essay to that contest was, I guess, in 2013. And I placed somewhere in the top 15. But what it got me thinking about was this really special place between art and creativity and business. And I think that's what's so special about a day like Drucker Day, is that you can celebrate what's awesome about art and creativity and thinking, but you get to bake it into all of these really cool business and management philosophies and strategies. So I have been to the Drucker Forum in Vienna. I was there last year. I will also be returning this year, which I'm very excited about. But in preparing for this short talk to inspire you on Drucker Day, I went back to my notes and I decided that I thought what would be the most helpful for you is to understand what my top 10 favorite Peter Drucker lessons are. Now, I pulled these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking at my notes. So if you see my eyeballs go this way, I'm looking at my notes. What I really appreciated is all of these really cool sound bites and great quotes that speakers at the Drucker Forum were talking about. And a lot of them very casually were able to bake in a lot of Peter Drucker's philosophy into their speeches as well. So in going back through my notes, I selected my top 10 favorite things from last year's Global Peter Drucker Forum that a speaker said in reference to Peter Drucker's philosophy. So I'm going to go through that list with you right now. Just as a heads up, I have included a list of these top 10 in a separate 2-page document. You'll see at the top it says notes, and you'll see my top 10. And then I also include a little homework, which is a follow-up reading, which I'll talk to you about in a second. But here we go, my top 10 lessons from Peter Drucker and the Global Peter Drucker Forum. Number 1, we must find and commit to new ways to work and think. I'll say it again. I'll say all of them twice. 1, we must find and commit to new ways to work and think. What I love about this is a challenge for each of us, no matter the work that we do, no matter who we are, where we live, where we went to school, what we do, is we have a challenge in front of each of us, and that is to find new, fresh, fun, different, innovative ways, not only to work, but also to think. And I think that power to think differently, it's kind of an old school Apple ad, if you remember those from the 90s, dating myself. We have to find new ways to think. And that is my challenge for everybody everywhere, is to kick up the way they think. And that's something that Peter Drucker was a huge stand for, was finding new ways to think. And on that same note, it's really finding new ways to be inspired. So what inspires you? What's going to help you move the dial when it comes to the way you think? Number 2, can we identify and live into the difference between managing and inspiring? Say it again. Can we identify and live into the difference between managing and inspiring? So the 2 most important words in this phrase are managing and inspiring. And you know, if you have ever worked for anyone, there is a great difference between working for someone who manages you and who inspires you. Huge difference. You're more excited, you're more energized, you're more engaged when you are inspired by your leadership versus just being managed. You have to be both, but you need that inspiration piece there. And I think this was one of the major learnings, is that we have to think about what the difference is between ants and butterflies. So I think ants really manage a situation, and butterflies are that factor that inspire you. And I think that's one of the things that's a real hallmark of Peter Drucker's philosophy, is that he was all about inspiration and really challenging yourself, kind of a throwback to the first one, challenging yourself to find and seek and engage with inspiration and inspirational people. So who are the people that really inspire not only your work, but possibly your leadership style? It's huge. 3rd thing, we must operate with a strong purpose and value set. And we must fall in love with our mission. We must operate with a strong purpose and value set, and we must fall in love with our mission. So this is like so Peter Drucker, I can't even handle it. He was such an advocate for culture. And I don't think we're talking about culture enough in business today. But how can you be a really strong stand for the work that you do and the culture and the team that you're building by falling in love with your mission, and allowing other people the space to fall in love with the mission. And then also really getting behind a strong purpose and a strong value set. So what are those core values that really ignite and activate your work? I do this a lot with clients, actually. We do exercises where I challenge them to think about their 3 to 5 top core values. So what are those values that are a part of every piece of work that they deliver? And if you think about it, there are probably a couple that you can think of for yourself or for your schoolwork or for your business. But what are those real core values? What's that purpose? And what's that mission that's driving you forward? Okay. Fourth thing, change is permanent. There's no other way to say it. Peter Drucker was a firm stand for the idea that change is inevitable and change is ironically permanent. Just when you think you've figured it out, things change. So change is permanent. Number 5, we're halfway through the list. Number 5, we need a different kind of leadership. We need a different kind of leadership. Now, we all know there are about a million ways to define leadership, and I get it. They are the people and the processes and the organizations that are leading others. But really what I think this is a personal challenge to each of us to step up and serve as our own leaders. So how and why and when is your leadership different? And I don't mean to compare it to other people's leadership per se, but really, how is your leadership different? How's your leadership different today than it was a year ago? Or how do you find your leadership different on a team at work versus a team at school? Or how is your leadership different if you are actually leading the project versus perhaps sitting in the background? Whatever it is, the world needs a new kind of leadership, and that leadership is your leadership. We need your leadership. Number 6. All right, this is a little bit of a reality check. We must give and expect empowerment and accountability on every level. We must give and expect empowerment and accountability on every level. So that means on every project, on every piece of work, you must be empowered and you must be accountable. And that also means that if you are in that leader, if you're activating that new sense of leadership, you've got to be willing to empower others and also hold them accountable. Peter Drucker was a huge advocate for being a stand for other people, but also being willing to push and challenge and engage them so that they found a new level of themselves. So think about how you can be accountable and empowered for yourself, but how you can also empower and hold someone else accountable too. It'll change the way you do business. Number 7, ask questions. I don't think that people are asking enough questions. And that doesn't mean annoying questions, but that means these really hearty, rich, full questions that are taking ideas from a 1.0 prototype to maybe the 2.0 type that you're willing to launch out into the world. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions. And then the second part to this is, what are the questions that you're asking yourself every single morning that you wake up? So as soon as the alarm goes off or the sun comes up and you're probably thinking about your day and your to-do list. But really think about the questions you should be asking yourself, and also kind of tune in and try to listen to yourself. Peter Drucker was a firm stand for always being curious. So let Drucker Day be the first day that you practice a little extra curiosity and creativity. On that note, so one of the philosophers, maybe like business leaders, maybe philosophers, not the right word, business leaders at the Drucker Forum last year, John Hagel, Hegel. It's spelled on the sheet, the handout. John, John Hagel, Hagel. He's one of my favorites. He asked a really interesting question, and that was, what should work be? And then as a follow-up question, he said, what could work be for human beings? And I think we always forget that we are human beings. We are not human doings. We are human beings. And so what should work be? What should it feel like? What should it produce? What is that impact that we are creating? And then what should work be for us as human beings? How do we do the work that lights up our hearts and our souls? So those are two really great questions that are great Drucker Day questions to ask of each other and to ask yourself too. Number 9, we're almost there. Number 9, practice creative agility. Practice creative agility. So we all know what it means to be creative. It can be innovation, it can be art, it can be writing, it can be culture, it's really anything that challenges our imaginations. So agility, as you know from any kind of business 101, agility is that ability to move quickly and to fall fast and fall forward, and to keep going. So think about how you can practice creative agility. Maybe that's in actual creative projects. Maybe that's in your accounting class or your technology work. But there's really a challenge and an opportunity out there for all of us to practice more creative agility, because the more agile and creative we are, the stronger and more interesting our leadership is. Last thing, nothing lasts unless it's incessantly renewed. Nothing lasts unless it is incessantly renewed, which it's similar to the idea that change is permanent, but renewal is something totally different. And that is your ability to go back to the drawing board and refresh an idea. Peter Drucker was a huge stand for the fact that things are continually growing. The world needs our ideas to continue to grow. So how can you be a really strong stand for renewing a practice or a process? Or even each other? How can you really commit to renewing each other's work or philosophy, or giving each other the room to step up and own a team or own a project? And on a personal level too, a lot of it is about your own energy, right? So how can you think about energetic shifts that you can make in your heart or your mind or your soul to really get to a deeper level, or get to a place where you feel totally renewed and restored? Sometimes in my work I get bored. I mean, I think we all do. And so for me, I see that as a personal challenge to renew and to refresh my philosophy. Those are my top 10 learnings from Peter Drucker. I think I really wanted to do was create a list of things that you could implement in your world today. And you could just be thinking on a different level. I think the power of Peter Drucker is understanding that you are awesome and you've got a great brain and you've got talent, and the world needs that. So how can you commit to putting yourself out there more in the world, and sharing who you are with more people, and also being willing to experiment and ask questions and refresh and renew constantly, because your brain will change as you learn more. I will end on one final note, and I will tell you one of my favorite quotes that I learned at the Peter Drucker Forum, which I think it's not a Peter Drucker quote, but I think it's a quote that has the Peter Drucker spirit. But it's this: management is philosophy in action. And that was said by, I'm looking at my notes here, sorry, Santiago Ineguez. I'll say it again. Management is philosophy in action. So think about how the way you practice business or the way you practice technology or team leadership or processes or operations, whatever it is, think about that management as your philosophy played out in action for the rest of the world. So think about how you want your management style to own projects and create an impact. Final things, like I said, I shared my top 10 learnings with you in the notes, and then I actually included a short piece that I wrote for the Global Peter Drucker Forum that I think captures the spirit of Peter Drucker. And another thing that he held very dearly, which is this idea of listening. He was a really strong stand for listening and paying attention. And so I wrote a short piece on what I figured out after I came home from the forum last year and how I really started to listen more. And I include some quick follow-up questions that are really easy to do either as a class or in small teams or perhaps with your friends and family, whatever works. Thank you for this. I am so excited I got to be a part of it. I hope that you'll reach out. I provided my email address. I'm also easy to find on social media too. I would love to hear from you guys and to better understand how maybe some of my learnings helped you as well. But let me know how I can continue to support you. Peter Drucker is awesome, so you should continue to read about him and to celebrate his philosophy on a daily basis. Thank you again, and have a great night.
That was awesome from Meg. And I think each one of you should have those 10 points at least. And final quotation with respect to the management. You must also remember we are going to share this all with the students, the email address, so that you can revisit it, listen to it. The next is one of our second student. He's here, Samir. Yes. So we are going. He's going to talk about Peter F. Drucker, because as I told you, it's mostly about the students. So let's see what Samir has to do say about it. Thank you.
Hi guys. Okay, so Peter Ferdinand Drucker. Peter Ferdinand Drucker was an Austrian-born American management consultant, educator, and author whose writing contributed to the philosophical and physical foundation of the modern business corporation. He was also a leader uh, in the development of management education. He invented the concept known as management by objectives and self-control. Uh, Moving on, and he has been described as the founder of modern management. Drucker's book and scholarly articles explored how humans are organized across the business, government, and non-profit sectors of the society. He's one of the best known and most widely influential thinkers and writers on the subject of management theory and practice. His writing predicted many of the major developments in the late 20th century, which includes privatization and decentralization, the rise of Japan to economic world power, and the major development of the late 20th century. Uh, one of his key ideas was outsourcing. Uh, do what you do the best and outsource the rest. Was is the business tagline first coined by Peter Ferdinand Drucker in the 1990s. The slogan was primarily used to advocate outsourcing as a viable business strategy. Drucker began explaining the concept of outsourcing as early as 1989 in his Wall Street Journal uh, article entitled Sell the Mail Room." He believed that the organization should divide the activities into two categories: front room and back room. Front room being the core activities of the business, and back room being not so core. And he believed that backroom activities should be handed over to other companies for whom the backroom activities are supposed to be the front room activities. Uh, Drucker taught that management is a liberal art, and he infused his management advice with interdisciplinary lessons from history, sociology, psychology, philosophy, culture, and religion. He also believes strongly that all institutions, including those in the private sector, have a responsibility to whole of the society. The fact is, Drucker wrote in his 1973 management task, responsibilities and practices, that in modern society, uh, there is no leadership group but managers. It is the sole responsibility of the manager uh, uh, to do the common goods, because he believed that it's the manager who has to take the responsibility, otherwise no one will. Furthermore, Drucker believed that employees are assets, not liability. He taught that knowledgeable workers are the essential ingredients of a modern economy, and that a hybrid management model is the sole method of demonstrating an employee's value to the organization. Central to this philosophy is the view that people are an organization's most valuable resource, and that a manager's job is both to prepare people and perform, uh, and give them the freedom to do so. Drucker was interested in the growing effect of people who worked with their minds rather than with their hands. Uh, he was intrigued by employees who knew more about a certain subject than their bosses or colleagues, and yet had to cooperate with others in large organization. I believe he had me in mind while philosophizing this. Moving on, rather than simply glorifying the phenomena as the epitome of human progress, Drucker analyzed it and explained how it challenged the common thinking about how organizations should run. Executives thought they know how to run the company. Drucker took it upon himself to poke holes in their beliefs, lest organization became stale. This was one of the saying that I really appreciated. But he did so in a sympathetic way. He assumed that his readers were intelligent, rational, hardworking people of goodwill. If the organization struggled, he believed it was usually because of a narrow conception of problems or internal misunderstanding. In the end, I would like to share a quote of Peter Drucker. Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attribute. Thank you.
All right, Samir, I was not expecting. It was a very good speech. Actually, I have taught Samir a couple of courses, and I have seen really developing and growing as continuously. So that's the whole point of learning. So very good. Now, our next speaker, as I told you, that without her, it would not have been possible to arrange this whole seminar. She is Ms. Nayara Rahman. Um, sorry, I need my glasses. She is the senior manager marketing in Arthur Lawrence firm. Ms. Nayara Rahman is a marketing professional with a focus on research and communication. Before joining the organization, currently she is working. She has also worked in BASF, HSBC, and completed project for Shell Pakistan and Bayer Crop Science, both of which had a direct and long-standing impact on business direction of these organizations. Amongst other prizes, she is the recipient of the Standard Chartered Prize for Business Communication in Financial Services 2016 and the Best Research Paper Award Brand Management Track and the second IBA ICM 2014 and SARC Young Writers Award 2009. Ms. Nayara Rahman, she has been to Peter F. Drucker Forum last year, and she is also quite excited to be there this year. So we would like to hear from Mr. Rahman, please.
Right. So first of all, I would like to thank everyone over here, starting with Mr. Masood, but also all of you, because as I was sitting in the audience and I was listening to all the sessions, I had one question. Do you know who the most endangered species in Pakistan is? Any guesses? Markhor. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Any other guesses? Dolphin. Yeah. Hmm? Sorry, snow leopard. Okay. I'm not sure we have snow leopards in Pakistan, but leopards are definitely endangered. Okay, let me make this easy for you. In Pakistan, the most endangered species is a person who thinks, reflects, and has the courage to speak. All right? So, all of you present here today is testimony that someone wants to think, someone wants to reflect, and someone wants to speak, regardless of attendance, right? So, thank you very much for being here. On an ad note, I would also like to talk about how Peter Drucker has helped shape my personal and professional life. And to do that, I will go back on my experiences both as a student and as a professional, right? So let's, without much ado, um, Peter Drucker lived in my house, tucked away in his books long before I was born. Growing up, I just knew him as a business writer who had written a few business management books. But what else could you expect from a teenager who thought she knew everything? Fast forward, I'm in BBA fifth semester. We receive an assignment in entrepreneurship class. We're supposed to read and present anything by Peter Drucker. So I dig out Managing in Turbulent Times. And one chapter in particular captures my fancy, the one on the American pharmaceutical industry. Now, what was special about this chapter was that it starts with something everybody knew, that there had been a pharmaceutical boom in the United States, and every industry was in it. It was high growth, and people thought that this industry is heading towards saturation. That's what economics said. That's what marketing said, right? But what Peter Drucker discovered is that that didn't happen. Instead, the American nation became, I quote, a nation of hypochondriacs. They couldn't get enough drugs. Those who were healthy wanted to be healthier. Those who were very healthy wanted to stop aging, and so on. They wanted more energy, they wanted more vitality, etc. Right? So this is groundbreaking for at least two reasons. Number one, Peter Drucker wrote Managing in Turbulent Times in 1980, when most management thinkers had a very linear and traditional approach to management problems. The second is that his observation of the unique, strange way the market had responded was a forerunner of an entirely new field of management. Many of you may have heard of behavioral economics. Quick show of hands, how many of you have heard of it? Behavioral economics? Okay, the discipline that human beings or markets don't always respond to traditionally rational stimuli. So, how many of you know that this was recognized as a true discipline on its own strength in 2002? Okay, 22 years after Peter Drucker wrote this book. To this day, I apply Peter Drucker's what if approach when discussing the behavior of our prospects and clients, and it always reveals something new. When formulating a business plan, I keep a separate page where I do a mind dump of possibilities, just the way Drucker suggested. But this is all business school. After I graduated, I sat for a competitive exam. I defeated 1,200 candidates just in Karachi, and then a further few in the next rounds of interviews and group discussions. And all of this to be placed as a management trainee in what was then the world's second largest bank. Being an employee of this bank was a matter of great prestige and pride for my loved ones and me. I received congratulations from strangers when they heard where I worked. People who hadn't spoken to me in 4 years of university called me up to verify the news, and I could always hear the envy in their voices. By all accounts, I had landed a great deal. Famous global brand, good pay, beautiful office, supposedly global opportunities. But the reality was almost the opposite. Most of us in the management trainee program were miserable. Our growth was arrested. We were forced to work for dead end departments we had no interest or career aspirations in. Our bosses were threatened and openly competed with us. And the worst thing was, we had a bond, so we couldn't leave either. So my dilemma was real. So on one hand, I've worked so hard. This opportunity is not for everyone. I've endured so much. Is it for nothing? What if the global opportunities finally do open up? So that's one hand, right? On the other hand, I'm not a banker. And what have these glass and medical buildings ever done for me? Everything that seemed to excite everyone else, the glamorous breakfast meetings, um, it had no charm for me. The team lunches, they were not good. I did not enjoy them. I thought they were a waste of time. Then almost 2 years into my 3-year bond, I came across a life-changing article. A classic Drucker piece, Managing Oneself, is taught in business schools, and I happened to revisit it by chance. More than anything, this article teaches you how to make choices that are good for you. So now it's very easy to tell people to be comfortable with uncertainty and to be open to multiple careers in the course of one career. Just about every motivational speaker is telling you to do it. But Drucker said these things with honesty and with compelling authenticity. He gave reasoning. He argued with logic and evidence. And he never pushed his own ideas down you. He was equally comfortable presenting opposing ideas and possibilities. And because he had acted on all the advice he was giving in the article and it had worked out very well for him, he was a person I could trust. So, because of Peter Drucker, I made difficult but important decisions about working in B2B, which certainly suited my temperament better than B2C, about not sticking with dead, stagnant organizations just because they were big brand names, about being comfortable adopting new roles outside my core expertise. Although I could have taken not one but two bank job offers after leaving the bank, I preferred seeking the right opportunity. I have never regretted that decision. Since reading that article, I've worked in B2B sales, research, supply chain, lots of marketing, and B2B technology services. Each experience has informed and enriched the next. And you know what? When B2C assignments do come my way, they're easier because of the rigor and training I subjected myself to following Drucker's advice. Fast forward again, it's 2014, and I'm halfway through my second business degree. A topic, Lost in Digital Wonderland, catches my attention. It's a great topic for an essay competition, the Global Peter Drucker Challenge, to be exact. And it gives me a chance to think about and write about something I feel very strongly about, the unbridled and literal use of technology as a tool. While everyone was busy discussing the transformative power of social media and digital marketing, you might remember that in 2014 they were almost the same thing, right? The Drucker Challenge steered me to think about cybercrime and how little we were doing to fight the downside of digital tools, the abuse of technology. This is 2014. Pakistan's bank data breach scandal would come 4 years later in 2018. Right? Deepfakes would come in more or less the same period. So while reading Peter Drucker doesn't make you Nostradamus, it prepares you very well for a future that is there, but which no one else sees. Interestingly, that was exactly the theme of the 2017 Peter Drucker Challenge, which was on inclusive prosperity. For a long time, I had been observing the disconnect between Pakistan's corporate culture and the people problems it claims to solve. I wrote about my experiences, recounting the hypocrisy, the indifference to suffering, and the pointless jargon and dead traditions young management professionals are subjected to. I wrote about the price they pay to keep these traditions alive and questioned if this is really prosperity. If it is, how inclusive is it? My essay won me a place at the Global Peter Drucker Forum, the one that Ashutosh and Meg spoke about. And like all things Drucker before it, the experience was life-changing. I met some of the biggest movers and shakers of our time. Many of you might be working with the business model canvas. Have you heard of it? Right? The person who pioneered that idea, Alex Osterwalder, he was there. Jennifer Merchant, who I think has been on the Forbes 40 under 40 list. I'm sure all of you know Philip Kotler, father of marketing. He's there. He's going to be here there again this year. Steve Denning and many more. So meeting those dignitaries was definitely life changing. But meeting fellow finalists at the Drucker Forum was equally enlightening and informed my view of the world for the better. So Annie Twombly, who won first prize in 2017, wrote about how technology doesn't have to be digital. Think about that for a minute. This was a view echoed by Drucker himself. Although Drucker coined the term knowledge worker, he himself believed that technology didn't always have to be high tech or transformational. He was a proponent of utility and productivity rather than transformation for transformation's sake. As one may see in one of his famous quotes, there's nothing as useless as doing efficiently what should not be done at all. Now think about that the next time you come up with a project, how many useless tasks are built into that? How can you cut it down and make it leaner, right? And that goes for work as well. How many meetings do you attend in a week that should never be there at all, right? These things happen in real life a lot. So, like I said, these words would stay with me and help me as I took on new responsibilities and roles at work. It helped me identify and encourage talent within my own team, with the opposite also being true. So, for instance, when tasked with leading a team, I had to make quick and frequent switches between my own knowledge worker hat and that of a coach or a teacher. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was downright frustrating. How patient can a manager be if her team is least bothered about productivity? Well, that was me. So, two nuggets of Peter Drucker wisdom helped here. One was when he said that a person who can only find faults in others should never be made manager. I'm not very critical, but reading this reoriented me to focus on what my team did best and channel their energies there regardless of what their official JD said. This meant that task lists were redesigned and there was replanting of resources, not planning, but replanting. And we switched gears very frequently, but the trouble was worth it. And I'm grateful for the outcome and its lessons. The second outcome was not as sunny. It was one of the most difficult decisions a manager will ever make in her lifetime, which was that of separating a team member. Now, let's call this team member X. I had interviewed and hired X. I personally liked her very much. And for half her tenure, her performance was not good, but workable. But midway, things took a turn for the worst. Deadlines were missed, poor quality output, defensive behavior, excuses, lying, absenteeism. It was like X was doing everything she could to get fired. I was angry, but I also hurt for her. She was my responsibility. I had expected so much from her. How could she let me down like this? What went wrong? The X decision was agonizing, mostly because I was so angry. But again, Drucker came to the rescue. As quoted by my friend Sophie in her Drucker Challenge essay, Peter Drucker would often open lectures by asking uh, attendees, is there anyone who you would say is deadwood in your team? And when someone raised his or her hand, Drucker would ask them, were they like that when you hired them? Or did they get that way after working with you? So this was a humbling lesson for me, and one that forced me to accept my failure with team member X. That self-reflection was vital on so many grounds. Resilience is another lesson often to be found in Drucker's books and articles. He was an advocate of exploration, as we have heard today, of your inner self and the world around you. But unlike the rigid and linear views both academics and business people take of externalities, Drucker championed a healthy middle ground. Human beings aren't just casualties or lucky winners of their environment. They're drivers of it. This is what Drucker believed. Again, everyone will tell you that. But Peter Drucker said it in a different way, a way that beautifully summarizes the depths of managerial policy and strategic management in one sentence. He said, predict the future and then compare it with what happens. So if you really think about it, that encapsulates all three stages of the strategic development process, from formulation to control. To sum up, I just want to say that Drucker will never stop being relevant to management, whether it's personal development or navigating the corporate battlefield. I will conclude by quoting someone else. In fact, I believe it's Richard Straub, of the founder of the Peter Drucker Society of Europe. He said, when you read Drucker at 25, you say, this is common sense. I know everything. What is he saying that is so new, right? But when you read Drucker again at 40, you realize, whoa, this is a revolution, right? So the next time you read Drucker in your coursework, think about it from that angle. What will change between 25 and 40 for you? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Naira. And there were many um, thoughts, provoking, I would say, thoughts. And one of that is that technology does not need to be digital. So we have to always see, as we are right now sort of inundated in the flow of the technology, and we are considering technology as the solution for all of our sort of problems and other thing. Isn't it the case that the technology is leading us rather we lead the technology? That's the main thing. The ultimate is the productivity. We need to use the technology in this context. And whatever technology you are going to adopt, just give a break and think how it is going to affect you, how it is going to affect your life, how it is going to, what we may say, empower you, or it is actually sort of enthralling you rather than empowering you. With these thoughts on your talk, I would now invite our final speaker of the day, and he is Mr. Fareed Zafar. He is currently head of HR operational services at Angro Corporation. Uh, Mr. Fareed Zafar is a motivated and result oriented focused human resource organizational development specialist with more than 25 years of experience in leading human resources functions from all aspects and spearheading complex and effective programs in both the private and public sector. Mr. Fareed is a certified leadership executive coach and a team player, possessing a combination of leadership, team building, project management, and information technology skills. Expert in benefiting top organization by improving performance, return on investment, and quality through systems management and process improvements. Farid Zafar, he is a doctoral candidate at University of Durham, UK. Rather, I would take this liberty to call you doctor because you are almost done. In the field of destructive leadership, he has also completed his organizational MS in organizational development, change, and ambient financial management. And apart from all of these solid professional credentials, he also likes to sing, playing cricket and golf. Today we would not be asking you about singing, but some other time. So here I ask Mr. Farid Zafar to please come over here and talk. This floor is open for you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, thank you, Masood. Thank you, Zabis. It's been a long time. I was away for like 2 years, and now I'm back. So I'm trying to recognize few of the faces. You were mentioning Shella was here, so I don't know where she is right now, but so few of the old associates. So I did my MS from Zabis, after coming back doing my MBA. So my association with Masood is from 1993. So it's an old one. So when we both were practicing for this IBA test, and then so life has changed. Uh, Started to work in around in the 1994, 95, and then since there, no looking back, and I've just been um, here with Angro. Just joined them. It's been like 3 4 months, and Angro Corporations. Once I'm back from UK after completing my doctorate. So this is a little bit about what I've been doing, and apart from that, I've been associated with Zabis and IBA and um, IBM, IOBM, what you call, for the last 16 years as a faculty member. So I've been teaching leadership, ethics, and reward. So this topic, destructive leadership, is very well practiced in Pakistan, and but not known to anyone. You call it destructive leadership, you call it toxic leadership. So we all have it here in our hearts and minds, and not very much known to corporate world and organizations actually. So what I'm going to be talking about is, I usually like to move around, but okay, so you have confined me. Okay, if this is possible. G. So I'll try to make it more collaborative and a little bit of informative session. So what you see here is learn to develop. What we have been talking about today is Peter's thinking, philosophies, teachings, and what he has been doing all his life, and what we have been learning from the books and the thoughts, and very well, articulated. Uh, Three of the speeches about what learnings we can, 10 learnings we can get from met. So let me figure it out how to move. Okay, so it says the only skill that will be important in the 21st century is the skill of learning new skills. So what we are doing right now is we have stopped learning, we have stopped reading, we are more involved into using technology. And so there's a lot of, like what she mentioned, is a lot of disruption in terms of using the technology. You have a gadget in your hand, you have a gadget at your lap, and all the time you are just trying to socialize and gather information. What we used to do initially, and this was the habit which was you know um, given through the school times, that we have to have a feel of paper in our hands, and which has gone. And I feel so depressed to even mention. And yes, I agree that we have to keep ourselves update, and we have to keep ourselves going along with the technology, but that has not been very impressive with the Pakistani people. What we have not done, what we have done is, let's see what the spec says about it. So this is our youth's demography, and what's the Pakistani future going to be like. When we talk about something here, so 4 million people entering the workforce every year, 60% in unstable or low paid jobs. This is a very recent survey, August 2019. The literacy rate is high, and this year it has gone up. So illiteracy rate would be around what? Any idea? Around 30%, 35%. So if you go to the specs, so 83% is urban literacy, 61 is rural. See? And again, the ratio among male and female is not very disappointing. You all are reading, learning, getting education, but on this side, you have either unstable or low paid jobs. So I think um, there is somewhere a problem with you, or maybe the whole structure, maybe the university. So this is what we have to find out. So what we would be doing is, if we say, okay, so 179 universities with 1.27 million students, 476 people, they started up their own thing. Bahut aajkal, you must have heard that um, startup. I think universities are also now encouraging people to start something up. And here, Youth employment rate. If I may make a wild guess, you all would fall from 20 to 29, majority of the case. And the unemployment rate is around 14% in this one and 7% in this one. So not a good sign, not a healthy sign. So what do you think we should do? What do you think, where do we lack? What is that thing which makes you different from anyone else sitting here? Innovation?
They are not doing with this ownership. So the lacking of the ownership and the lacking of the ownership and the lacking in the passionate about the job. So the main productivity is getting low. The consumption of the information is very high. The production is very low. So the main, I think the main is the your ownership of your, for example, what you're passionate about it, what you want to do. You should do that. We are looking only for the scopes and saturation of the market, that what we
Exactly.
should be doing.
So we're going to come back on this one. So where is the problem? Anyone? Where is the problem?
I think the workforce lacks the skills, even the basic skills, how to do an email, how to have effective communication skills with the customers. Because if we don't have these basic skills, even people lack interviewing skills. They sit in the interviews and they cannot conduct even a whole interview. So I
Okay,
think
makes
basic
sense.
skills are lacking in the workforce,
Okay,
which the corporate requires.
great. So one, we have a skills. Another, we have the focus, personal focus, innovation. So what we'll do now is, Mhm. There is some. So what you have to do is, you have to close your eyes for only 1 minute and think who you are. And your time starts now. Close your eyes and think. Hmm. Okay, so what were we doing? You were doing a self analysis and you wanted to find out who are you. So are you at the right place? Do you think what you think you are is what you are? Are you are you thinking you are kind of disoriented? Are you thinking you are kind of not what you should be doing? What is the basic philosophy of being a human, or being a person, or a man, or a woman? What makes you different from animals? Think. So that's what we just did. You had a power to think about yourself. And please understand, this is all about yourself. Wherever you go, how you go, how you live, and how you spend rest of your life is how you think. So what happens is, you have to have your own brand. This is where you lack. You mentioned about yourself. Exactly, it is what we lack. You don't think about yourself as how to pitch. So when you pitch yourself, you should know what's your image is. What is the image? How do you define image? Image is something what people see you as. It's not what you see in yourself. Because you are showing your image to people. You are selling your brand to people. That is why that percentage has to decrease. You have to be in a better position. Who is holding those big positions? What did we do in order to get to that position? We must have done something. Who asked me to do that doctorate degree, go and spend hundreds and thousands? Who is asking Masood to do a doctorate? Why are all of us involved in self development? Why do we want to enhance our skills? I want to do SAP, I want to do Oracle, I want to do analytics, because everything is so fast paced, you're going to be left behind. And we are left behind. Why do we call Pakistanis 5 to 10 years backwards? Had we read Peter in True Spirit, what he talked about the learning skills, we would have been there, right there. And there are Pakistanis and there are people who are right there, starting from ONA levels, scoring all nines, A's, A stars. And then you have all those people at various top-notch organizations sitting there and setting up milestones. So there are people who are working on themselves. So you have to start creating your image. Do it from now. Think of a plan. Think of your image, what you want to portray. And that's something which is very important. I'll talk in the end. What is your mission in this world? The mission with regard to your personal achievement, the mission with regard to your family and the organization and the country. Are we on top of that? Are we lacking behind? Are we just managing ourselves? These two fingers have messed the whole thing. Looking at the phone, there are 8 social media apps which an average person is looking every day at the moment. For example, when we talk about coming into the office, it starts with what? 9 baje, office starts with what? Huh? No. Huh? Mm-mm. Nahin. Look at the productivity. It starts with a nashta. Because most of the people, they say कि चाय के साथ पराठा ले आना या चाय के साथ अंडा. I have experienced this. Okay, biscuit bhi le aana. And then they spend time doing 10 to 15, 20 minutes on nashta. I will take you through the whole journey of the day. And then you go through your emails. Very important. No. You go through the last Facebook post you have posted, and you wanted to see how many likes you have got, how many people have commented, and how many heart shaped. You go to Facebook, you go to face some app, yellow color app, Snapchat, you go to Twitter, you go to Instagram. Yes, amazing. And once you are free from everything, you get back to work. And then you start your work. And sorry, I forgot all those people who have this urge of smoking. Sorry. So they go out and they spend 10 minutes because they don't smoke alone. So one cigarette which is ending, probably the other person has not ended, so they may probably stay there. Courtesy demands that. This is our uh, तहजीब के साथ देना है सबका. We have to stay with them. इंसानियत भी तो दिखानी है. उसके बाद आप वापस आए, काम करते हैं. मैं नहीं कह रहा आप काम नहीं करते हैं, आप करते हैं 1-2 घंटे काम, बीच में कोई डिस्ट्रैक्शन होती होगी तो होती होगी, लेकिन एक्चुअली 12:30 बजे आपको खाने का ख्याल आ जाता है. 1 बजे से 2 बजे तक की ब्रेक है. 12:30 बजे आपको जब ख्याल आता है खाने का, तो उसका प्लान बनना शुरू होता है. वो लोग जिनके यहाँ खाना सर्व होता है ऑफिस में, वो तो मिल बैठ के चले जाते हैं, और जहाँ पे खाना सर्व नहीं होता उसका एक पूरा प्लान है जिसमें मेन्यू पूरा पूछते पूछते डिसाइड होता है. एंड द डिस्ट्रैक्शन स्टार्ट्स. एंड एक्सटेंडेड आवर्स में, क्योंकि आपको खाना खाने के बाद सबसे बड़ा मुसलमान बनना होता है और आपको सारी नमाजें पढ़नी होती हैं, तो आप नमाज पढ़ के वापस आते आते 2:30 हो जाते हैं. 2:30 होने के बाद, ओ सॉरी आई मिस्ड वन थिंग, बीच की जो 11:30 बजे की चाय थी वो, सॉरी मैं भूल गया. 4 बजे आपको दोबारा चाय पीनी है, और 5 पे जब आपको निकलना है ऑफिस से, एग्जैक्ट आपको वही टाइम याद आएगा, 5 बजे से पैकअप करना है. And there are people who sit late. So this is where our creativity, the organization look at the whole talent management thing. There we are. This is the place where we lack values. अच्छी values हैं. Pakistani people, they have very good values. They care about people, they care about organization, they care about bosses, except themselves. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your ethics. You have to take care of your brain, eyes. Please take care of them. And most importantly, you have to take care of your mind. This world is full of distractions. Apart from, and that is also one of the reason, मुझे अब समझ में आता है कि when I would share an interesting thing जब बचपन में, so जब कोई घर पे मिलने आता था, जैसे बाहर से कोई लड़का या कोई मिलने आ रहा है कि आप फरीद से मिला दें, तो my dad used to go first after 7 की बात कर रहा हूँ. He used to go and he used to shake hand and he used to say, जी हाँ बेटा क्या बात है, ये फरीद से मिलना है. उन्होंने कहा ओके, जाओ मिल लो. So that was a tradition. A person who used to, ये हम हमारे वालदैन, अब आप लोग भी उस एज में इंशाल्लाह थोड़े दिनों में आ जाएंगे जिसमें आप लोग भी वालदैन होंगे, तो उसमें you have to think कि where we have to start and where we have to stop, where we have to let people use the technology at the highest level. अपने दिमाग में से disruptions निकाल दें, that percentage still gonna go down. The most important is your vision. पहले हम बात करते थे, आपने इंटरव्यू में जितने भी क्वेश्चन सुने होंगे, it's like what? How do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you see yourself in 10 years? What is your vision? It has gone now. The fast-paced technology, evolution, and all the society things which are coming up have changed your tenure to 1 year. What do you want to do in this 1 year? What? Let's see. Not moving. Masood, arrow se kar do, arrows. So your brand is what other people say and what about you when you are not in the room. अभी मैं ये आपसे कहता ना आपके पीछे जो बात हो रही होती है वो आपका ब्रांड होता है. How can you make it better? So you have to be very powerful. You have to be very authentic. Don't imitate. Consistent, visible, and valuable. Once you are not valuable to the organization and the society, you're not required. ये करना है हम सबने. At any age, at any stage, we have to do our self assessment. अभी हम कर रहे थे ना. थोड़े थोड़े दिनों में अपना self assessment करिएगा कि where am I on my track? This is what I want to achieve. What happens is there are a lot of jobs which require your knowledge, but most of the jobs require your skills. The jobs, for example, I'm not an HR person as far as my education qualifications are concerned. So I am a person who has done his MBA in financial management. And I started to work in HR. तो HR में भी उस वक्त ज़माने में HR इतना डेवलप नहीं था, so they started to give you छोटे assignment. So I was hired as a management trainee in one of the biggest organization, Pakistan Petroleum Limited. But I was doing what? I was making photocopies. I was given a rule book to make hundreds of photocopies to be distributed among senior executives and junior executives. But what happened? So every time I used to photocopy a page, I used to learn what is written on that page. That is the reason that it kept on building skills, how to write a rule book, how to write procedures and policies. I was given a photocopier to take out that stuck paper. I was given a printer to take out that stuck paper. So from that level, we decided to enhance our technological skills, people skills, SAP, job evaluation, Hay Group certification, business process reengineering, cost control efficiencies, number of trainings, and then increased our and a level up of MS, management sciences, organization development, change management. Next, after 3-4 years, let's do. Why have I decided to do doctorate? Because I wanted to be at the top level when I am teaching my students. When I'm teaching MBA and MS students, I want to be at the highest authority where which is determined by the education institutes. So this learning process cannot stop. This learning and learning can be from anywhere, everywhere in the world, from this small place to the highest level. So you have to do self-assessment, do some research where you can find yourself comfortable with the learning process, a little bit of decision making. The most important thing is risk. Whether you have this capability of taking risk. Ab risk में भी क्या है? Apart from this, this is risk. I went to UK and I decided to start a franchise by the name, a small franchise by the name Mr. Cart Fish and Chips. मेरा उससे जिंदगी में मैंने कभी मछली इस तरीके से नहीं बेची थी जिस तरीके से वहां जाके. But because I was there, I had something in my mind, so I started off with that. And then I also started off with my organization, जो यहाँ नजर आ रही है आपको, Our Human Capital. That is a management consultancy. स्टार्टअप्स है ना बहुत सारे, स्टार्ट करें, क्यों नहीं करते हैं? Entrepreneurship, have you studied? You have studied. Why don't you do it? Why don't you test it? It doesn't require much or huge investment. The idea is here. Just make it happen. सबसे important चीज is networks, contacts, interpersonal skills, which will get you to work, which will give you the work. So let's do it the right way. So probably most of you would be looking for a job or might be in a job, in a position in an organization. So better if you have a resume, make it a professional one. Highlight the skills you already have and already you want to achieve. That is in the goal plan. So build a powerful personal brand, which I just talked about. Your brand could be anything. You are the best communicator. You are the best problem solver. You are the best technical guy. Anything you want to be. Work on your skills. And then building the network is very important. Networking is nothing. Selling yourself. So there are few things which we do at Angro. So they ask us to join and come up with a new plan with regard to employee branding, employee development plans. So we have some PMGM, performance management, goal management plans. So this is where we bring in success factors, which is a product of SAP. So it's a technological solution, and where we have implemented top talent programs in which we identify high potential as soon as the person steps in the organization. The person goes through a rigorous program and has been highlighted as a top talent or not a top talent. So we have various training and development programs which are based on specified and specialized skills. Because AgroCorp is on top of fertilizer, polymer chemicals, energy, WOPEC, InfraShare, digital, सारे किस्म की मुख्तलिफ किस्म की इंडस्ट्रीज के आप टॉप पे हैं. So for us to groom talent, it is really important. But not people. And do you think एंग्रो छोड़ के कितने % लोग जाते होंगे? ज्यादा या कम? ज्यादा. क्यों? दिमाग में प्रॉब्लम है. हम लोगों के जो एज के, एंड ऑल ऑफ देम आर अराउंड 24 to 32. Most of them, not all, most of them. Why? Because they have this problem of switching jobs. इधर से निकलेंगे, मैनेजर बना दो बस किसी तरीके से जल्दी से मुझे. और मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी doing a whole photocopying thing, but it gave me a lot of learning from that. आप लोग तो करेंगे भी नहीं, आप कहेंगे this is not my job. And then we have some external trainings. So the basic crux of what we were talking about is the enhancing your inner self. How you want to enhance. Get coached. Have someone with you who is a literate person. The company which you are keeping has to have some creativity, some productivity. So the key to greatness is how to look for people's potential and spending time in developing it. This is what Peter said. And this is what now organizations are following. Thank you.
and he has written. So to begin with, as earlier we have said that it's you, the most important resource is yourself. And if you are in a position of a manager, as Mr. Farid has described, that you have to also look at the potential of the people, those who are working with them, and in right way, you are going to employ them in their areas where they have the potential, so that the organization is going to grow. So in conclusion, I would say that there should be, I would say, some certain questions with respect to Peter F. Drucker Institute, with respect to his ideas, how you could further study and read about his philosophy, and those students those are interested in participating in that competition, what they need to do. So forum is open for you, and you may also ask the questions with respect to career development, personal development. Mr. Farid is here. So Ms. Nayera, if you could just tell something related to how they can further connect with the Peter F. Drucker Institute, what they need to do, is I would be thankful if you could just come over, please.
Okay, hello again. So the Global Peter Drucker Challenge. Yeah, the Global Peter Drucker Challenge is an annual essay competition. It usually opens somewhere in April, and it closes on either in June or May. So keep watching out for those deadlines. This year, I think the deadline was 24th June. You are asked to write an open-ended essay on any theme. And इसके अंदर मैं आपको कुछ details बता देती हूँ कि number one, you don't have to read all of Peter Drucker's books. Okay, most of the winners have not read the books. Okay, most of them learned about Peter Drucker through the competition, so it's okay. Some tips are that you read his articles. My advice to you would be कि जो question आपको मिलता है essay का, उस पे आप पहले खुद रिफ्लेक्ट करें कि ये आपकी जिंदगी में किस तरह रिलेट करता है. Like I told you in 2014, the topic was digital wonderland. So almost all the winners spoke about Alice in Wonderland, going down the rabbit hole, things like that, right? And what did I write about? Cybercrime, ठीक है, data theft. So but it still reached the final, right? So originality is a big plus कि अब अपनी तरफ से लिखे, जो आपको सही लगता है वो आप करें, ठीक है. तो ये एक चीज थी. दूसरी चीज ये कि इसकी वर्ड लेंथ को आप रिस्पेक्ट करें. इट डजंट हैव टू बी अ रिसर्च essay. Okay, it's not something you submit at the end of the semester. It has to be personal. Like one of the winners in 2017 wrote about how she grew up in poverty in the Philippines. All right, how her mother used to be a domestic worker, and how she rose from that background to go on a full scholarship to the University of Washington. सो इस तरह के बहुत सारे एसेज आते हैं. उसके अलावा यूट्यूब के ऊपर हम लोग का एक चैनल है. इट्स कॉल्ड द ड्रकर चैलेंज चैनल. देयर इज आल्सो द ग्लोबल पीटर ड्रकर फोरम चैनल ऑन यूट्यूब. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. If you want to connect, feel free anytime. I'd be happy to give advice. I've also written about it, and you can catch me anytime. So thanks and good luck.
Questions from the audience? There should be some questions. Yes, Sami. Farid Saab, if you please join over here. Sure.
लाइक हर बंदे के अपने गोल्स होते हैं कि उसको कहीं पहुंचना है, तो उसके लिए एक इनर जर्नी होती है, एक आउटर जर्नी होती है. तो एक इनर जर्नी होती है कि वो खुद क्या सीखना चाहता है, और वो सीखने से आउटर जर्नी पे मतलब जो उसका जो ओवरऑल इम्पैक्ट उसकी पर्सनालिटी पे आ रहा है या जो भी आ रहा है उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होता है. तो अब मुझे ये पूछना है कि अगर जैसे एक बंदे का एक शॉर्ट टर्म गोल है और उसको अगर लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए प्लान करना है, तो इज़ इट नेसेसरी कि उसको शॉर्ट टर्म गोल को अगर कहीं ऐसा टाइम आता है एक टाइम पे कि आपको शॉर्ट टर्म गोल को कहीं अवॉइड करना पड़े, तो क्या वो एक सही चीज़ है?
Okay, what I'll do is I'll share my experience. So my goal was to come up with an alternate professional plan, professional career before I started to teach. So when I started to teach here and other institutes, usse pehle the plan was how can I have a second career which can go long after retirement, and something which is most important was how can I give back to the society. जो इतना इन सबसे पढ़ा है तो let's give something back. So what happens is when you give, you think of giving back, you have to learn more. तो बहुत सारे ऐसे टास्क थे, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स थे जो कि उसके बीच में थे, and which I planned and I couldn't do this. Maybe one of the training program was training for trainers. I have never done that program, and yet I did training. But what I did was I started to get hold of knowledge and learning about what is that program all about. तो बास चीजें हम नहीं भी कर पाते, सर्टिफाइड नहीं भी हो रहे, तो आप एटलीस्ट पार्ट ऑफ इट, मे बी समथिंग रिलेटेड टू दैट ऑब्जेक्टिव, यू कैन स्टार्ट. ये तो इंसान के बस में ही नहीं है कि आपको पता हो कि मैं एनीथिंग एंड एवरीथिंग आई वांट टू डू आई अचीव इट. सो इट doesn't matter as far as you have a goal, that what matters. आपके पास गोल है तो आपने कहीं ना कहीं से कर लेना है, और वो गोल आपके पीछे भागता है. Once you start mobilizing yourself, तो हम लोग अपना distractions खत्म कर दें तो everything is just fair. हाँ, बास चीजें आपको financially रोक देती हैं. In this world हमारे साथ भी ऐसे ही है. We are from the same society. Financially आप बहुत सारी चीजें करना चाहते हैं, नहीं कर पाते. तो फाइनेंशियली का भी वक्त आएगा. अपॉर्चुनिटी आपके पास कहीं ना कहीं से होके होते हैं कि कीप योर आईज एंड ईयर्स ओपन. कहीं से भी आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल सकती है. सो for a bigger goal there can be 3 more goals. In out of 3 you can achieve 2. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yes, one more question from there, please. I just want to add one thing to Sameer's question, that Peter F. Drucker's personal principle, I mean the principle of personal development, there was one thing that have a fixed goal but flexible strategy. So if it is a long goal, you have that goal, and there is a strategy that you said you can follow various paths. Yes, please, question.
Sir, in the Pakistan, the corporate culture is like that. When the top management introduce a policy, and if we disagree to that policy, we are considered in a negative way. कि आप अपने सीनियर्स की या टॉप मैनेजमेंट की किसी पॉलिसी को आप जो है ना डिसएग्री करते हैं. When there is no point of agreement कि भाई ये यहाँ पे चीज़ नहीं हो सकती, or the people at the ground level they want to change it in a way that would be easy for them or top management. तो उस एलिमेंट को अगर हमने किसी पॉजिटिव वे में पहुंचाना है, तो हाउ ड्रकर इज हेल्पिंग अस और हाउ ही कैन हेल्प अस इन डिलीवरिंग दैट पॉइंट.
So there are few basic elements of a mankind's existence. So number one, which Peter Drucker's philosophy says, is the positivity. The positivity of anything and everything, may be a right thing or maybe a wrong, can make that thing happen. उसकी वजह क्या है कि हमारे पास थोड़ा सा तहम्मुल और सब्र की कमी है. हमारे इंसान को बनाया गया थोड़ा सा इस तरह के वो मुशक्कत और जिद्दोजहद में मुसलसल लगा रहता है. तो ये क्रिएटिविटी इंसान की ऐसी ही है. So what happens is when there are people who cannot send message across and they are in a hurry, so that message will never go. Anything which you are trying to highlight and you want to make a point, एक दफा नहीं हो रहा, तो you have to probably find a way of doing it instead of getting yourself demotivated or bogged down. I have never ever in my life seen something which I tried to convince not happened and I just gave it up. It always happened. The problem is here.
All right, Ms. Nair, do you want to add on this, please?
I would like to, I'm sorry, who asked the question? Oh yeah, okay. So I would like to answer your question by two Drucker quotes. ठीक है? पहला वाला है, Drucker ने कहा था, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Alright? तो अब इसका क्या मतलब है कि आपकी rules, आपकी policies जितनी भी strong हो, जितनी भी structured हो, अगर culture खराब है, तो वो बेकार है, वो सिर्फ एक कागजी exercise है. And I've seen this in real life कि जो आप कह रहे हैं ना negative feedback and whistleblower, I worked on this. So I can tell you what happens कि normally organization में top down होता है, right? The boss is king. जो boss ने बोल दिया बस वही होगा. Boss is always right, you know? But there is one organization जहाँ पे मैंने काम किया, वहाँ पे 360-degree feedback था, which meant कि employees also give feedback against their bosses, for or against. तो क्योंकि उस organization का culture unhealthy था, toxic था, उनको पता था कि ये paper exercise है, तो सब ये सोचते थे कि ज़्यादा बुरा लिख दिया तो शामत आ जाएगी. तो 360 feedback में भी अच्छी चीजें आती थी, right? और कभी भी सच्चाई सामने नहीं आती थी. फिर एक और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर बहुत ज्यादा जमहूरी निज़ाम था. तो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ कि यहाँ पे जो एम्प्लॉइज हैं वो यूनियनाइज्ड है अगेंस्ट मैनेजमेंट, कि वो जानबूझ के जो स्ट्रॉन्ग लीडर है या डिसिप्लिन इन्फोर्स करता है या हाई परफॉर्मेंस है उसके खिलाफ एक लॉबी हो जाती है. 6 लोग उसके खिलाफ फिक्टिशियस कंप्लेंट्स लॉन्च करते हैं. ठीक है, तो ये एक चीज थी. तो कल्चर डेवलप करना जो है ना, हम जब आप सब एमबीए में हो तो कल्चर इज प्रॉब्ली द सॉफ्ट स्किल, वो एग्जाम जिसके लिए आप बगैर पढ़े हुए पहुंच जाते हैं, राइट? You study for finance, you study for brand management, but you don't study the culture in a lot of details. ज़्यादा
Yeah.
seriously नहीं लेते,
For
right?
empathy,
Yeah.
for
Right?
creativity.
Yeah. ये सारी चीजें हम बहुत हल्का छोड़ते हैं, but ये game changers होती हैं organizations में, ये destroyers and creators होती हैं. Like एक organization literally एक छज्जे से लेके palace तक पहुंच सकती है if the culture is positive. I know because I work for an organization which started as one man's hobby, and today it employs 300 people in 6 countries, right? And they can hire even more people. They keep it lean for a reason. ठीक है? तो ये पहला ड्रकर कोट था. सेकंड था, ये भी ड्रकर ने कहा है, the most important thing in communication is hearing what has not been said. All right. So जब एक मीटिंग हो रही है और सब बॉस के लिए कह रहे हैं हाँ बहुत अच्छा आइडिया है, बहुत अच्छा आइडिया है, what is not being said? Who is not asking a question, what if? अगर हमने इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया फिर क्या होगा? अगर इतना फंड कर दिया, बकिया फंडिंग यहाँ गई, फिर क्या होगा? Nobody is asking that, right? So that's the communication that you need to look for.
Okay, thank you very much. I think with these couple of questions, we have reached the ending of today's session. And I would, in the end, request Mr. Jameel Ahmed, our MBA Evening Program Manager, to come on the stage for the distribution of some memento to our honored guest. Although to speakers from abroad, they are not physically present, but I hope that you are going to convey our gratitude, especially to these through your own means and communication. Mr. Jameel, please. So first of all, I would invite Ms. Nayara. Please come on stage. Now I would request Mr. Farid Zafar for his presence, for his talk, for his inspirational talk. And thank you, Farid. And finally, I would request the faculty member, our program manager, Mr. Vijay, to come on stage for a group photo. And rest of the students, they may wait for a while, and then they may leave. Just we have this photograph. Yes, Farhan Sayyid Saab, Miss Madiha, Miss Shafaq, and whoever is faculty sitting over here, please come in. All right, thank you all of you. And for any other further, I am available. You can always ask about Peter F. Drucker, Ms. Nair, all of these things. And yes. Okay, thank you very much.